to another episode of Mafia Family Ties, brought to you by William Attire Law. With me today is Jeremy White of WGR. Jeremy, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. I've talked about how I want to have you come on here for a while, but listening to you for ever.
Don't say the number. Don't say the number. It's a long time, right? It's a long time. It's longer. I have it in my Twitter bio. It's longer than anyone expected. I don't think anyone expected it to be this long, myself included.
No, it's great though. So we're gonna get into a lot of stuff today. I want to start with your origin story though. Everybody knows you went to Syracuse, but where did you grow up? And tell me about how you got into your field at Syracuse and where that went from there.
So I'm from Auburn, New York, which is about 2 hours from here. It's not that far. Mm-hmm. Like looking back, I wonder how I wasn't a Bills fan growing up. And I always tell people, like, when the Bills talk about regionalizing to Rochester and all that and trying to like grow a little bit that way, had they done that 10 years earlier, I probably would have found my way to be a Bills fan growing up. Mm-hmm. But instead, I kind of just was a free agent watching the Giants a lot. That's who was on my television. Yeah. So Auburn, not that far. Then I went to Syracuse for broadcast journalism. The idea was I was the Sports Center generation, right? I wanted to be one of those kids that was given highlights like Stuart Scott and all the guys like Dan Patrick, be on TV and be a sports anchor or something like that. I knew I wanted to do something like that. So at Syracuse for that. And right out of school, actually while I was still in school, got a job in Buffalo, foot in the door kind of thing, working at GR. And, the rest is kind of history.
Is that how you decided you wanted to go into radio? Was that just you got the gig and this works, I'm just going to go this way? Or
yeah, one of my stories that I could tell, like an origin story, is so I took a class with Dave Pasch, who is play-by-play announcer, NBA, Masters, CBS, voice of the Cardinals. Like he's done a lot. He had a class at Syracuse. We did 4 things. I'm not going to remember all 4 of them though, because there was only 3 I remember. There was talk show, reporter, anchor, and I forget the 4th one. Might have been like reporter. I said reporter already. Anyway, each segment of the class, you did a project, and the talk show one was one where in the class, you had to come up with a topic and then host the show in the room. Not something I'd ever really thought about before or done before. And I did that, and my topic was John Rocker. That's how far back it was, like the really revolting personality of the Atlanta Braves, the closer. And I did a discussion in the class about him, and people would raise their hands and ask questions. And at the end, he would score you on, how interesting was your topic and your engagement with people. And I got like the perfect score on that. And that was the first thought of like, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about this before. So that's kind of like it was kind of always there, I guess. And when I moved here to Buffalo, it was more the idea I was doing sports updates on GR. I would volunteer to cover the team, go down to the locker room, interview players, just kind of, I'll do whatever it takes. I'll do what I can to just have a job and get health insurance, like to be an adult, and started to do sports talk. And then when I got an opportunity to kind of have a little bit of a ability to ask for things, I said, can I try the weekends? Can I try the weekend shift? I'd like to try on air. And that happened. And again, like you just kind of right place, right time with a little bit of luck, here we are. Yeah.
So we won't mention dates, but a while back, I remember, I think I first started hearing you on Nights with Brad Ryder.
Yep.
And so you've probably hit like every time slot through that time. I'm assuming you may have filled in or done something during, Shope and Bulldog's
I was
time.
The producer for their early shows, maybe their first shows together. I produced Shope and Bulldog and then stayed late and co-hosted with Brad. So that was my shift, was like the afternoon producer and then producer/host with Brad.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So you've worked every time slot. You're currently at the 6 a.m. slot. Mm-hmm. Is that your favorite?
Yes. Yes.
Reason being?
Once you start getting up that early, you can't stop. So that's the first part of it. And I kind of get a lot of my day still left. Like right now I've got young kids. I get to pick them up from school and see them after school. I do miss every morning. There's some drawbacks to that. But if you are someone that gets up early, I just think you end up getting more out of your day than most people. I've never been one to sleep too late since college. I sleep through 10 o'clock classes in college. But after that, you become a real person. So for me, I would choose the 6 o'clock if given the choice, yeah.
So how does that pair with late primetime games, lots of Sabres games?
Yeah.
How does that work out for you?
It's getting tougher as I'm getting older, right? Football games that are on late, that can be tougher. But, at the same time, you can catch up in the ways you couldn't before. Like when I worked with Howard for 20 years. Howard would go to bed and get up at 3 a.m. and watch a game, which I always thought was absolutely insane. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just stay up and, go to bed and maybe be a little bit tired. But it just kind of is what it is. At the end of the day, watching a game late at night, if it's a Sabre game going to overtime, I want to be doing that anyway.
Yeah.
I want to watch the Bills on Sunday Night Football anyway. So it kind of makes it easy to do that when you think, well, it makes sense for me to do this because I want to, and of course, work.
In terms of you mentioned having to have a conversation and to talk about, these different things in your class. Have you ever found it hard sometimes to have a take on something? Do you ever feel pressure I have to have an opinion on this, even though maybe?
Definitely. Like the bigger sports industry is about have a take. You got to get on a side. I do think that people kind of appreciate if you're able to say, I don't know what to do with this one. I could see both sides. I'm open to it. Let's have a discussion about it. So there are times where I feel I should feel strongly about this or that, but I kind of don't. I'm trying to think of a couple examples over the years. I mean, honestly, firing Sean McDermott was a little bit of that. I did not have, they have to do this, or they should not definitely do this. It was a little bit of you tell me what the plan is, right? Yeah. Tell me what the plan is, and I'll get behind whatever the plan might be. So that's
as long as the plan involves wide receivers.
That's right. But yeah, you could have people that would have been pounding the table to fire that guy, and there's nothing wrong with that, or pound the table, he has to stay. For me, it was always, I think they're going to keep him for a long time, and I'm just kind of on that spot. Sometimes you're willing to be moved. Other times, it's playing a flag in the ground. Like a lot of sports fans are that way.
Just to get specific for a second, I did not think that they were going to fire him going into a new stadium.
Yeah,
I really thought that's one more logistical thing they'd have to manage. They're just trying to get into the new stadium. So I was surprised.
I tell people a lot, looking back, if I had known it was possible, I might have earlier on thought, okay, let's talk about replacements. But I really thought it was so unlikely the entire time that I didn't really even open my mind to it, which I guess looking back was a mistake.
Yeah, I'm right with you there. So, okay, speaking of takes, having opinions, you get a lot of feedback from people, good and bad. But now that GR is doing the live streaming on YouTube, are more people walking up to you now and talking to you about your takes? I have to imagine in radio, you were kind of yeah, my voice, but if I don't speak, I can walk right past you.
Yeah, I definitely, now that we're streaming on YouTube and now that we're posting on all the social channels, I get recognized a lot more, which is fine. Most people are really nice. And it's been nice because if I do go out to a Sabres game and 200 people say hi, 199 of them are saying, love the show, great job, hey, what's up, or referencing the show. In fact, it's probably all 200 of them. So I'm sure there are people that might see me and think, you stink. They don't want to say that to me. Yeah. So it's better, right? It's definitely a different kind of experience now. People always would say, if you're on the radio, face for radio, people don't know you, you're hiding behind a mic. And now I say to everybody, I can't get away from myself. I'm on my own phone seeing my own takes that I had this morning and think I don't know, is that one right? I don't know if I'm not sure if I agree with that one, but all right. He makes some good points, there's a little bit of just that doubt that creeps in, but it's definitely a different life now. Yeah.
Are there some takes that maybe man, that was such a good take I had, or maybe some takes on the Bills where what was I thinking?
Yeah, definitely. There's somewhere you think that something's whatever. You're one thing I always say is anytime anybody says to me, which they do, you think you're always right, I would say, who doesn't? Because if you think something, you think it's right. Otherwise, you would think the other thing. Everybody thinks they're right all the time. And if you're open to the other side of it, then that's the goal, right? But it's just a matter of I think this, I think that. I was terrified of drafting Josh Allen. I was terrified of the Bills drafting Josh.
You all had me terrified, not you. Everybody in sports media had me terrified.
Me too. I got my input from some of the people that you trust out there, and I think there was reason to be terrified of the idea, just like there's reason to be terrified of just about any quarterback that you draft. So I was kind of laugh about the idea that you should apologize for that, because I think the experience of being a fan is not knowing things and just saying, I like this idea and I don't like that idea. I'm not sorry I was wrong. In fact, it's part of what's made it so fun, is that it's this thing you didn't maybe expect to work that worked out really well, and pretty much worked out pretty quickly too. We didn't have a lot of stress.
No.
So Yeah, I mean, sometimes you're really right, sometimes you're really wrong. Sometimes you're right and the result ends up being wrong. See, like the tank. But yeah, you take what you can.
Oh, the tank. I think you were the one person that actually has the tank flag that we made.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that. I think I sent you one. But,
Yeah.
That's a different story. But, all right. So normally on the show, I'll ask people like, "What's your earliest Bills memory?" And it's like, "Oh, my dad took me to the games," or "Oh, I remember watching this." For you, it's going to be a little bit different.
Yeah. For me, it's going to be the first game I worked post game, which I'm watching Bills Saints in my apartment with a couple friends. I just barely moved to Buffalo. It's the year they lose 24-6 in the opener to the Saints. I don't know what happens. Does Sam Cowart get hurt in that game, tear his Achilles or something? It's maybe Greg Williams' first game. And I work post game with the coach, Chuck Dickerson. My job is to go in, and when the sound comes down, I'm going to cut it into a bunch of pieces for us to use in updates, for Chuck to use coming in and out of breaks. So it was watch the game, they got hammered, and I drive to the station, I start cutting up sound, and like that's it. So that's my first game working Bills games. My first game I ever went to was a rainy, miserable, cold November-ish Patriots loss, like so many of them were.
Yeah.
So I think it's the one where Nate Clements knocks Tom Brady's helmet off.
Oh yeah,
That's my first Bills game. Like I'm at that game, and a forgettable experience, but that was it. So yeah, I don't have like the family grew up watching these games. Yeah. I hope to be the dad that takes his kids, to the new stadium, to their first memories watching these games.
Yeah, that's cool. You can start a new tradition or a new Bills Mafia. This fan base didn't grow up as a Bills fan, but you've seen enough of it now, and you've seen, just in your job, your life, so much in sports fandom. How is Bills Mafia different than other fan bases?
It's funny, like I think of visuals. I think of the time I chipped my tooth in the parking lot with a bottle of Jägermeister. We have experiences, right? We're all out there. As much as I work and am in the media, a lot of what I do on game days has been work pregame and then just go do your thing. Go hang out with friends, have a couple beers, go in the game, cheer, and then go home. And then the next day, all right, I'm going to talk about the game we watched. One of my memories of Bills Mafia where it like clicked for me was a road game. I was in Miami for a road game. And it's a long time ago. The Bills are there. I'm with a group of like 5 or 6 guys, and we're going up one of the big escalators to get into the stadium. And when you're on those, you can see out in the parking lot. And I heard this giant commotion in the parking lot, and I turned to look, and I see what had to be about 400 Bills fans walking in like they're ready for war. It's a bad Bills season, but they're coming in, they're hooting and hollering, singing the Bills, like singing the shout song. And I think like, yeah, that's what we do. Like that's right. We take over stadiums, and we're the lovable idiots. I heard Scott Van Pelt refer to Buffalo fans as mutants, but in a good way.
In a good way.
He was basically like, you people up there, what are you doing? You care so much. You're crazy. And I've always liked that kind of idea that everybody kind of wants to be us when it comes to caring as much about the teams as we do.
Yeah, it means more to us for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Does it make your job more difficult when fans care so much about this team or these teams?
No, that's what makes the job possible. Yeah. People want to talk about them all the time. People want to talk about the silly things. People want to talk about the important things, whether it's a coaching change or who's going to bang the drum at a playoff game, or who the legend
These
of the
are
game
important things.
These are the things we care about, right? Or if it's the rivalry jersey and the whiteout at the stadium or anything like that, that everybody cares so much is what makes it all possible.
So you alluded to it earlier. Do you go to all the Bills games?
Most.
Yeah.
Most. Now that there's family, kids, my wife's family, our whole family is going to Bills games. So childcare for us is like, well, almost everybody's gonna be at the game. We're gonna have to find somebody else, a nanny or anything like that. So this past year, my wife and I did an awful lot of splitting. You go, I'll stay home, that kind of thing. So I'm not getting to as many as I had in the past, but I did make sure I wanted to get into the new stadium and get seats because, starting those new traditions. And for me, another thing that I've done, I haven't been in a press box in town in, I want to say like 20 years. I just don't want to do that anymore. I know that many times I'll have a press pass or have a little bit of an opportunity to do that. And I think I've done it before. My job, my role, what I want to do is be the person that's in the stands. And now if people ask me like, oh, you must get tickets for free. Like, no. I buy tickets, like I buy tickets and I want to go because that's what this is, right? We're just all fans trying to see this thing through.
Yeah, no, I always appreciate that because I feel like the talk shows are much more like fans talking with fans calling in.
Yeah.
As opposed to maybe somebody behind a desk who's kind of sharing with you what happened.
Yeah. And like the core of journalism would tell you that you should be objective, but I don't think sports media is that in towns anymore. And I don't think it should be because the reality is who knows your team the best? It's the people that follow it all the time that, whatever, want it to win, whatever. It comes down to, can you call out a bad move or a bad decision? And of course, we all have done that our entire lives, right? What are you doing on 3rd and 10 there? That's terrible. That's just a cheerleader. You're also maybe, the harshest critic sometimes at the core of being a fan.
Few people have access to fans like you do in terms of or they have access to you. Like you talk to more fans than probably anybody else. Going to touch on the Sabres a little bit here. How would you describe Sabres fandom versus Bills fandom? Compare, contrast.
Yeah. I always find it interesting when someone likes one but not the other. And that does happen sometimes, right? Like Sabres fans that aren't Bills fans or vice versa. I think the difference is that Sabres fans, this is my experience on Sabres Twitter too, Sabres fans are a little bit more prone to roasting the team when they're bad. And I am one of those people that does that too. Like there's just this different lovable, but you're so bad at this. This is so terrible. But when you get back, there's almost like the love is escalated. I think that the playoffs for the Sabres kind of reinforced this for people. This next generation of fans got the first playoff run in like 15 years, 20 years really, since we won a playoff series. And the experience of, when the Bills go to the playoffs, they beat Jacksonville. Great. Then they lost to Denver. Oh, it's over. When the Sabres go to the playoffs, they win 4 times just to get out of one round. And the thrill of the game 1 comeback, the thrill of the game 3 win in Boston, wherever you were on draft night, the thrill of the blowout win in Boston 6-1. That's 3 games. How far do I have to go back for 3 Bills playoff wins? Granted, they mean more to win 1 game. Right. So I think Sabres fans get the opportunity to kind of really revel in the playoffs. And in the short term, it's been a lot of fun and excitement. Whereas like for the Bills fans right now, we're just waiting for January. Yeah. Are we gonna be mad in January? Yeah. Is the whole season.
Yeah, and I could tell you stories about that, even like running a t-shirt company, like in terms of like where it is now as opposed to like say 8, 9, 10 years ago, how much more it takes to move the needle for people.
Yeah.
It's wild. And then you talk about the Sabres playoff and fandom and everything. It's almost like the entire Bills season poured into, like, in this case, it was like 3.5, 4 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. And it's just like up and down, up and down, up and down. It was crazy just to ride that train. And it's, sorry to say train. I don't mean to.
No, you're good. I do think this season will be more fun because I think people will be able to live in the moment of that new stadium, right? Mm-hmm. Like the first time you go there, they're playing Detroit on a Thursday night. How many times are we going to look around and say, like, where am I sitting? Yeah. What is this? And then the first Sunday 1 o'clock, and then the first holiday game, the first Saturday night game, or the first, like, we're just going to have so many firsts, and the experience every time you go might be a little bit different just because you're getting used to where you get your snacks from, or you go to the bathroom, or where you're going to tailgate because so many things move around. So I hope this season is one we can really live in the moment.
Yeah, I think that we've really lost sight of how lucky we are to have this stadium, to have this team, because growing up, there was this cloud over our fandom, like, oh, Ralph might move the team someday. Yeah. And it turns out he was actually pretty committed to not, but we didn't find that out until the team was for sale. But now we have this stadium and the team's not going anywhere.
Yeah. It's huge, right? It's huge for a lot of people to know you can fully go all the way in and not fear you're just going to be a punchline, because there's losing your team, and then there's also your whole city becomes kind of like the butt of that joke. You couldn't hang on to a pro football team. And it wouldn't have ever been because of us.
Right.
Like, these are forces that are beyond the average fan's control. And to feel like you're not in control of that, but then it gets taken care of, like, okay, I can go back to doing my thing without worrying about,
Right. Because I remember when the Toronto series began in 2008, my daughter was 5 years old at the time, and I remember thinking, like, this is the death knell. Like, this team is moving. They're going to go to Toronto, or just they're going to see that they can make money elsewhere. And my daughter's not going to grow up. My kids aren't going to grow up having a team to watch.
Yeah.
And we're so lucky now.
I wonder, now that we know what that's like, now they have a partnership with Toronto where they're wishing luck to the Raptors, right?
Yeah.
And Vince Carter's a minority owner, and Tracy McGrady, and like, did that lay the groundwork for this, right? Like, it was bad at the time because of the uncertainty. I'm not even making the case here. I'm kind of wondering out loud.
Yeah.
If now it ended up being a positive once it got firmly established that it wasn't going to go to Toronto.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing to ponder.
I did go to one of the games, and the game was terrible. And my favorite thing was
one of the Toronto games?
Yeah.
For Bills? Oh, me too. It was terrible.
They lost to Miami when I went. Yeah. It was awful. And my favorite thing to tell about that experience was, like, so Rogers Center, whatever it's called now, I actually like it for baseball games. I think it can be a good baseball stadium. But for football, not great. And my favorite thing is I was in the upper deck and walking around the concourse, like, getting a snack. What was on the television? The Bills are playing a game in this building. What was on the television? It was the DirecTV channel listing the upcoming NHL games that night. That was on every television in the upper concourse. And I thought, this place is not prepared for football.
No, I was there for the one win. The game I went to, they beat Washington. And I remember feeling weird and awkward for cheering. Like I felt like self-conscious. Like, something good happened, I cheered. And it was like nobody else was around me cheering. It was just not a great environment. But speaking of, real quick before we move on to the next thing, Bills Mafia, Bills Fandom has kind of got, like, its reputation. How would you explain it to somebody who is trying to wrap their head around it?
I would say it's a fan base where it's not just one demographic that watches the games. It's families. It's part of what you do. Every tailgate I go to, it's like Thanksgiving. I've got my entire family that is there, and it's cousins, and sometimes there's a few more cousins, and sometimes there's a couple. I would say that it's about, Mafia means family. That is collective about the fan base itself, but also you're watching with your family. I don't know many people where only half the house watches the games, right? It's like a whole day event. Sundays are shut it down and lock in. So I think it's maybe more consuming because you're with everybody that all your friends. Do I have a friend that doesn't watch the games? I don't think so. Right. I don't know. And the Sabres, similarly, but yeah, I think it's that your whole family is invested.
Yeah, for sure. You mentioned Sundays, as your Bills squad co-host would say, Joe Marino, every day of the week except for Tuesday and Wednesday now.
Yeah,
it's one given day out of the week. We have to shut everything down, and Bills are going to take over.
Yeah, they take over your Sundays and a lot of them other days now, including holidays now.
Oh, yeah.
Which,
do you have any opinions on that?
I mean, I kind of want them sprinkled in because to me it feels like a special occasion to play on Thanksgiving night, and that I don't mind Thanksgiving night. And I don't want to speak from the standpoint of someone that might have to work on the day. Like, how is it for the average fan? I like being in the mix there, but Thanksgiving and Christmas in the same year is kind of tough.
It's a little gratuitous.
A little tough.
Yeah. All right. So you've been here since the early 2000s, and you've seen a lot of different eras, however you want to define them. What are some of the eras, or one specific era or time period that really sticks out to you in your time here in Buffalo?
Well, I mean, the Josh Allen era has to be it, right? Like, they not only have a great team and the team results are great, but the most exciting player to watch in the entire sport, and watching what he's become and the way he represents the city, the franchise, like, he's super easy to take a lot of pride in. I think a lot of people really do. So, like, the Josh Allen era is probably it. There've been a lot of years and some teams with players we love, Fred Jackson and Fitz. But yeah, before Josh Allen, it was just kind of waiting for a guy like this.
Yeah.
And we talked about it all the time. And they took their shots at it and never found that guy. And now that they have that guy, it's a new standard has been set.
Yeah, for sure. QB Purgatory, I think it was.
Doug Whaley, QB Purgatory.
We were talking about the new stadium a second ago. You've been through it a couple times now.
Yeah.
So if you could add one thing that you're sure isn't going to be there now, what are you adding to the new stadium? Besides a roof. Half the people say roof.
I would not add a roof. I am staunchly against a roof, and I'm very happy it's outside. Everybody's going inside. The Chiefs are going inside. The Bears are going inside. The Browns are going inside. I'm so happy there's not a roof. What would I add? Light rail to get us there. That's a big ask.
Yeah.
The only reason
it is actually a really good.
That's it.
Yeah.
Matt, I would like public transit to get there. The reason I would have supported downtown-ish would not have been to revitalize downtown. It would have been because people could maybe take a train.
Yeah.
And if we could get there on a train, I think it would be transformative for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's a really big thing to add, like billions of dollars, but that'd be it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I like that one a lot. You mentioned a moment ago a story about chipping a tooth on a Jägermeister. What's your best tailgating story?
I won our family's chili cook-off in 2022.
All right.
Is that it?
No,
we have
sure.
a yearly chili cook-off where everybody in the family makes a chili and we put them all on the table and we name them after. There's like Bills-based names. John Brown's Smoked Chili, I think was what I named mine when I won it that year because, his nickname was Smoke.
Yeah.
It's a smoked chili.
Good stuff.
So whether it's that or, tailgating at night, I've also got great stories from the Wind game against the Patriots. We were in the camper lot that year.
That's the Mac Jones?
That one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that Wind game. We parked our campers in a circle like we're actually circling wagons to block from the wind because there were 50-mile-an-hour gusts that day. That's a great one. The Patriots' perfect game is an all-time great tailgate day because it was so cold. I went and bought brand new, Arctic gear to live in and new boots and everything. So, my favorite tailgating stories are the Pittsburgh game where it was really snowy, the playoffs. That's another one. Any time where the weather is kind of tough and we all look at each other and say, like, look at us. Look at what we're doing here. The Houston game that rained like crazy. They won 40-0 that day.
Oh, that was like 21?
Yeah, I think so.
My daughter at one
Davis
point,
Mills threw 4 picks, and it was a downpour the whole time. And I wore complete rain gear, like head to toe. I'm going to be ready. And as soon as I took that jacket off, what did I see? A soaked wet shirt.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. You could have jumped in a pool and been drier.
Yeah. I remember my daughter saying, I don't know if I peed my pants or I just been rained on for 8 hours. So that's always stuck with me that day.
Yeah. So I like a tailgate where we all kind of look at each other like, I can't believe you're here. Like, I can't believe we're all here. Yeah. We're going to do it. Nothing's going to stop us.
Yeah. It's like, what are we doing here? But like in the best way possible.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've also really enjoyed the last couple of years. We've had a chance on the radio to talk with pilots that are doing flyovers. And like, I met a guy, Bills fan, who I came to know through work, and he's a pilot up at the base. And somehow one thing led to another, and it got to, why don't we have the pilots that are going to be flying over the stadium on to tell us about the plane, the helicopter, where they're out of. A lot of times they're Bills fans. And the tailgate lot for me these last couple of years has been like watching that KC 135 circle around before it comes through, and just kind of knowing that, that was another way we were able to kind of bring some of the game presentation more to Bills fans. Like, I really like that we did that.
Yeah, that's very cool. I was lucky. My section would always have, like, right next to us would be wherever they sat those pilots, like, after the game. They show up, like, in the third quarter or something like that. They're showing up for, like, an hour or something like that. But that was always kind of cool to see them coming in all their gear and everybody start clapping and everything.
Yeah, the thing is, like, if there's a really hardcore Bills fan, they won't fly. They'll be the person on the ground, like, coordinating it. And then they go back and fly, like, I'm going to go to the game. Like, I'm not going to wait till the second half. I'm going to be here right away.
That's funny. That's funny. You make a good point. There would be, like, 1 or 2 usually in there already. Yeah.
The biggest Bills fans are the ones that say, like, I'm not flying this time.
No.
Yeah, you guys fly.
I love that. All right, so we're going to head into the fourth quarter of this interview presented by William Attar Law. You're raising Bills fans. What's your favorite tradition? I know you're only about 5 years in, but what's your favorite tradition that you are seeing come to life?
We go to the Kids Day game. We go to training camp every year. I mean, getting them to go to training camp is cool. My son's name is Knox. He's not named after Dawson Knox, but his name is Knox. So he's got an 88 Knox jersey, and he's always excited when Dawson Knox scores touchdowns. So like that's cool. But just getting them to the games and watching them kind of react, they sit down for these games, for football and for hockey. And you know how it is with kids. You want to make sure they're not on screens too much, not watching too much TV. And sometimes I'll turn the game on, and I think my daughter said once, like, you said no TV. And I said, this isn't TV. This is the Bills game. Like, it's not, this is not the same thing. You know, this is a different experience. So they're invested. They know, you know, we were doing math equations this last Sabres playoff round. Like, how many games do they have to win? 4. How many wins do they have? 2. So they need 2, right? And just, you know, incorporating that kind of lesson into, like, it's all about the Bills and the Sabres.
I love that. Speaking of the Sabres, what do you think that this recent playoff run did for the city?
A lot. Did it not allow us to think that we're not Siberia anymore for the NHL? I mean, I wondered if the team would ever be good again, and if any player would ever want to play here again. And I think that's immediately gone. Like, it did a lot. It reminded us that good surprises can happen, which is like a thing in my life I like to try to remember, because you get older and a lot of stuff happens in your life. And I think it's always important to remember that good surprises still happen. And like the Sabres this year were a really good surprise.
I love that. I love that. Because we always focus on like, oh, of course that would happen. It's something bad. But like, sometimes good things happen.
Yeah. Good things still happen.
I love it. So what do you think a Super Bowl championship or a Stanley Cup would mean to this city, and maybe even to your kids?
It would mean a lot to the city. It would mean a lot to me, my friends and family. I have this thing now where anybody that wins something that you wondered if they ever would, or people said that they wouldn't, I'm thinking about the Bills all the time. When Rory won at the Masters, I'm like, that's the Bills. Rory is the Bills. He's one of the best, Rory McIlroy. He's one of the best golfers in the world. He would have been great if he had never won the Masters, but would he ever get that thing that he never got? And when he did, like, I'm crying about it, because I love it when someone is told you'll never get that, and then they do. And my
they
favorite,
do it again.
Right. He did 2 years in a row, which is a big part here. Like, oh, it turns out of course he would. Why wouldn't he win 2? He probably should have won 2. Yeah. And my favorite team in the Premier League, Arsenal, hadn't won in 22 years. They just won. And I watched all the interviews with fathers, mothers, grandfathers, kids crying, waking their kids up to tell them that they won. And same thing. I'm thinking, that's the Bills. Because now a whole generation has experienced it, and they won't spend time thinking we could never do it. They'll just know, oh, our guys did do it. And I approach every year, even if I've got my doubts about the Bills, like, I'm not here telling you they're not going to win. I'm not going to bet against Josh Allen. They've got some uncertainty this year, but like, I think they could win the Super Bowl. And you know, you become maybe the dog that catches the car when you win. But at the same time, it's kind of like that good surprises can still happen thing. It changes everything. It makes it so, oh, of course our guys can win. It's almost like instantaneous. We did it.
Oh, it wasn't that hard.
Right. Like, of course they did it. They probably should have done it. So it would mean everything. I mean, it would just, I think about parades monthly. I think about, sometimes I'll just be driving and in thought, and I think about what it would really be like if they won. What would we do? Would we all just run out our front door and go somewhere? Would you go, are you within walking distance of a bar where you live? Where would you go? Yeah. Would you just be meeting your neighbors' backyards? Would you go to work the next day? Yeah. I really don't know what we would do, right?
Yeah.
Would we have?
But we would have to.
Right. but would we just find ourselves in Niagara Square with 100,000 people on a Sunday at 9 p.m. just because we would feel, I gotta go somewhere. I gotta go see some people. Yeah. Like, I really wondered what we would do.
Yeah, that's a great point. I've thought about it, and there's the fact that, you know, it'll be winter and people's windows will be closed. But I've always thought about, like, if they win, like, going out on my front lawn and just like listening to the neighborhood. You know, it'll probably be quiet because again it'll be winter. But
I think
maybe not though. Maybe
you
not.
might have snowmobilers ripping up and down your street just because they're celebrating.
That's good stuff. And yeah, I think about that a lot as well too. And the Hard Knocks that they just did when Josh Allen actually visualizes the parade. He talks about like the crunchy salt and everything, and just We'll get there.
We'll get there.
But this was great. We're going to do one more thing real quick, but I do want to say thank you for joining me today and talking. Long overdue.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is the most important part. We're going to talk about chicken wings.
Yeah.
So we'll get into some wing talk presented by William Attire Law. First question's easy, or maybe not. What's your go-to spot?
It's funny. Go-to spot and like best spot are different because.
Let's hear both then.
All right, great. Because go-to spot is like, where do I go? I live in North Buffalo, Hurdle Avenue. Like Bob and John's has great wings. Love Bob and John's. Wellington has good wings. I like to say most places in town have good wings because if you don't have good wings, you won't make it, right? Like people here know what a good wing is. So, my go-to spots are neighborhood spots, and my number one spot, like I've been there like 3 times and probably not in 10 years, but I just know 911 Tavern's the one. Like that's the one.
Even the presentation.
Yeah, the presentation, the no nonsense nature of it, do they even take card? Is it just cash? Is it 3
not
beers?
as of like a year and a half ago?
Is
They
it
don't.
3 beers on tap still? Is it just like shut up, eat some wing? Like
That's,
like they're so good and they've earned that. So yeah, I always tell everybody when people come to town, like that's where we're gonna go. We're going to 911 Tavern,
and you'll have to wait in line because they don't take reservations.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's my go-to. Over the years, Gabriel's Gate. I know a couple of the big places I've never been to. I've been to Barbill. We have internal like family debates about best wing, traditional wing, specialty wing, flavored wing. The wing nuts is a different kind of wing, right? Very good, but I got 2 brother-in-laws that argue about whether or not that counts. So whatever, it's all good. Yeah.
So favorite sauce then, or what? Give me some insight on some of those debates.
Okay, I want hot. I want hot every time, and I want to. It's always like this little game, if I'm in a new place, how hot is your hot? If the person says, oh, it's pretty hot, I have to then like look at the person and think like, do you know what hot is? I don't want to get
You got to
hot.
size them up a little bit.
Yeah. I don't want to get your hot and take it by me like, it's fine. It's fine. It's not that hot. I, over time, have been able to push hotter and hotter and hotter, so I'm not really afraid of a pretty hot wing. I want a really good, take a little bit of time to get this 12 wings down. Like I want to sweat a little bit,
Yeah.
That's my style with horseradish. It's my style with hot sauce. I want to make sure it's a little hot.
Have you ever done anything like a hot wings type challenge?
No.
I don't recommend it. I got to do one last year. It was terrible.
I have done something, not quite a hot wings challenge. We were at this market in New York City, like these pop-up winter markets, and they had just sauces. Oh, take a little drop of this sauce. Oh, and yeah, some of those sauces will put you on, like you drop to your knees, even though it has this like very safe sounding flavor. There's like, there's wing hot, there's Asian hot, there's Thai hot, there's different kinds of hot that can, really take you out. So I don't think I'm like the hottest, spiciest food guy. Just like the traditional hot wing, I can go pretty hot.
Yeah. What's the most you ever put down?
Well, I was in the chicken wing eating contest on stage with Joey Chestnut in like 2012 or something, and I did not put down that many wings. It was just like they got me in there as a thing like to promote it, and I might have eaten like 17 wings or something like that. Right. I usually like to supplement the wing. I like the wing as a piece to what I'm gonna eat more. A couple pieces of pizza and like 5 wings.
Yeah, okay.
That's usually where I'm at.
What about with blue cheese? I'm not the blue cheese or first ranch thing, but like, do you have where do you use it? Do you dip your pizza in it? Like where are you on that scale?
No pizza. I probably wouldn't eat blue cheese on anything but a wing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really get it. I would never get on a salad, but for a wing, like, yeah.
I normally like dip like maybe half of the wings into the blue cheese, and I like the other half like just by themselves, I
feel like, does anybody else just go drums in blue cheese and flats not? Because if you're going to put blue cheese on a flat, you have to pour it on there. Well, that's like 2 steps worth of process. Yeah. Whereas a drum, I can just go dunk it.
Yeah, Wingnuts has those weird shaped ones, which are nice.
Yeah,
those are good. You mentioned like pouring it on. Normally, I'm an amateur. I guess I just squeeze it and then I'll like.
Yeah, I guess that works. Yeah. Squeeze a little cup.
Yeah. We're getting into some really important details here. This is riveting. The views are going to go.
Someone's watching and thinking like, that's exactly what I do.
Well, this was great. Again, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you taking the time. And hopefully we get to do this again soon.
Yeah, anytime.
Cool.